In previous videos, I showed how I designed and made this modular cabinet system. So here we have 4 of the modular cabinets bolted together. These can be bolted together in a whole bunch of different configurations, and then all of the drawers are made on a multiple of the slot spacing here, so any drawer can fit anywhere in any cabinet. And here you see the cabinets being used as a stand for my metal lathe. They can be bolted together and used as workbenches or stands or just standalone cabinets. And if you want to make some of these yourself, I sell plans for them. Okay, so that's the background. Now, recently I was making a couple more of them, and actually they're done, but I messed them up. So these are the 2 cabinets that you saw in my last video. I was carting them around in my cargo bike, but since then I finished them and I realized that I made a mistake and the drawer slots are too close together. So that means that if I take one of these drawer bottoms that should have 1 millimeter of clearance, it gets tight. It doesn't quite fit. I could just trim down this drawer bottom to make it fit in the new cabinets, but then it would be too loose in all of my existing cabinets. The outside dimension of the cabinet is actually correct. The problem is that I didn't cut the slots as deep as they're supposed to be. So each slot is 0.5 millimeters shallower than it should be, meaning that from the bottom of the slot to the bottom of the slot is 1 millimeter narrower than it's supposed to be. And it's supposed to have 1 millimeter of clearance, so that means that now it has 0 clearance. The reason I made this mistake is because I wasn't following my own plans to make these cabinets. I was just making them from memory because I thought I had all of the dimensions memorized. Turns out, I guess I don't. In this video, I'm gonna show you how I fixed this, so in case any of you are having the same issue, you'll know how to fix it. Or maybe you can just use this to learn some techniques that you could use in your own projects. My plan is to just cut open the seam here and then put in a filler that is 1 millimeter wider than my blade kerf. So it will make the cabinet 1 millimeter wider overall. This cabinet is already the right width on the outside, so doing this is going to make it 1 millimeter too wide on the outside, but it will make it the correct width between the slots. This is not going to be a problem though, because the exterior width actually has a lot more tolerance than the interior. This can be a millimeter wider than it's supposed to be, and it will not affect anything at all. The holes that join the cabinets together are substantially oversized, so even if I put a couple of these cabinets that are too wide next to each other so that their errors add up, they're still going to be able to bolt onto cabinets that are the right width. This is not going to be a problem. Before I start cutting these cabinets apart, I'm going to pre-drill holes for where the screws are going to go, and that way I can use those holes to help me align it when I put it back together. I adjusted my table saw blade to just barely cut through this plywood. So if I try to cut right here beside the glue line, so this would be my kerf, then I'm gonna be potentially leaving the edge of the original glue joint here, and that glue will have sealed the pores in this wood, so I won't get a very good joint if I try to go back over that. So I'm instead gonna put the kerf a little bit further over and try to actually remove my original joint completely so that I'll get fresh surfaces. But I don't wanna go too far or I'll be running into the first lamination of the plywood here. That would give me a bad surface again. So instead of setting my fence here, I'm gonna try to bump it over so that I'm just splitting that first ply. My blade is 2.6 millimeters wide, so I'll set my fence to 3.6, and then I'll cut my filler strips out of this piece of walnut. I'm using walnut for this because I want it to contrast. I want it to be very apparent that I repaired this. I view this a little bit like a scar or something, sort of proud of the repair and the learning experience that I got from the mistake. As a quick sanity check before I actually assemble anything, I've put the spacer strips in here and just set the top on it. And we'll see if this fits. Holding it down. That seems to have the amount of clearance that's normal. For this back part, I'm going to use 2 offcut strips put together just to save some material. I'm going to just glue this onto the main carcass first, and then I'll glue the side back onto it once this glue is dry. I used my router table to trim those filler strips flush with the plywood, and then I chiseled out the rounded corner left by the router bit, since that could interfere with the drawers closing. And here are the finished cabinets. I'm really glad that I went with the walnut strip just to make it a bit more visible, but it's honestly a bit disappointing that it's not more visible since it's directly in line with this seam. The drawers fit just great now. Well, this one's not really a drawer, is it? The drawers fit just great now. And yeah, they work great. That's it. I hope that helps you in case you're having problems with this. See you in the next video.